Please welcome our next speaker. Please stick around after this session for a live Q&A.
Thank you today for joining us at DynamicsCon Virtual. We're so glad that you are here and decided to spend your day with us. I'm Holly Kutil, and I'm here to present for you on how to prepare for your BC implementation. We want to save you some time and money by preparing ahead of time for your implementation or upgrade. And so today we're going to talk through some action items that you can do ahead of your implementation or re-implementation or upgrade. Hey, this is our agenda. Just going to walk through this really quick with you. So if this is not the session you were looking for, then this is the time to exit stage left or right and find that session that you wanted to attend today. We're going to talk about team building, process mapping, training your trainers, user acceptance, some house cleaning, which is my favorite topic, and tools that can help you along the way. When we're done today, we're going to go through some Q&A. So don't forget, as we're talking and going through the session, any questions or comments or things you'd like to add to the program, please feel free to put them in the live chat. And when we get to the end, we'll spend some time talking about those things and going over the questions and the comments that you guys had for us. So thank you again for being here. And I am Holly Kutil, your presenter for this session. I've been involved in the NAVOG and the virtual community with DynamicsCon for 15 years now. It's been my home away from home. I call them my family, and I'm appreciative of what they have given to me, and always glad to give back to the community through presenting and through being involved in the user groups, especially our local groups. Shout out to the Ohio group. They're my home team. We're glad that you are here and enjoying spending time with you. I've been in the business world for over 40 years now. Started in the accounting area, and in 2008 found my way into a NAV company and learned the system, became their NAV admin, and eventually their CIO. I loved it so much and was so involved with them that I decided it was time to make a switch, and instead of just helping one company, join a partner and start helping many companies along the way. Innovia became my home for that, and I'm appreciative and glad to be a part of the Innovia team, where I get to help many companies get the most out of their ERP and use their system correctly. Let's start off with team building. Before you want to begin your implementation, and before you even have your partner on site for some of that planning and preparation work, you can start by building your team of subject matter experts. So some early steps to get starting before you even ask and look for those recruitments is to set some clear expectations. First thing you want to do is define your scope. If you're the project manager or team lead, maybe you're here as the executive sponsor and you're going to bring someone on board as that team lead. And maybe you're here just because you want to see your company succeed with their upcoming implementation. Maybe you're the key person and you need to go in and say you're glad to step up and be that team leader. But the first thing as the team leader you want to do is define the scope. What does the team and the project look like? Is this just for the implementation? How long is it going to be? What does that process look like? And what are you expecting of this team? I'm going to suggest that you don't just build this team with the thought of an implementation or upgrade in mind, but that you build this team with the thought of an ongoing living organism. The reason I say that is because as you build this team and you put it together and you start doing the work together, you'll find that this team is going to be an intricate part of keeping the health and maintenance of your ERP system going forward. You're going to want to continue to use them for not only the health and maintenance, but also for continuous improvements as you use your ERP and it grows with you and your company. The next thing you want to do is define those roles and responsibilities. What will the roles of this team be? What will their responsibilities look like? What is the dedication of time that you're expecting of them? Once you have the scope and the roles and the responsibilities set up for this team, how much time do you think they're going to need? Is it 5 hours a week? Is it a couple hours a day? Is it an hour a day? And on Fridays, you're going to have a 2-hour team meeting. But what does that dedication of time look like? Well, there'll be times that you want that team to stick around and spend more time with you and maybe do some overtime, maybe a little bit of extra work. And what does that look like? And last you want to do is set some goals. What are some of those benchmarks? What are the goals for the team? What are the goals for the project as you're moving forward? What are you expecting of them? And how can we give them rewards and benefits for what they're doing and be their cheerleaders as they hit those benchmarks and those goals that you've set for them? Once you have that all set into place, you're going to want to talk to your C-suite, get them on board, get them involved, get them to agree to that time dedication. Talk with the managers and make sure that they can reduce some of their workload for them while they're going through the implementation or ongoing. See if they can redirect some work so that they have that extra time to dedicate to the team and to the health and maintenance of your ERP, as we said. Once you have all of these things in place and you are all set to go, then it's time to start recruiting your team. We're ready to get started assembling the team, and the first thing we're going to do is give that team a name. My team, when I was on the end user side, was called Mission Possible, and we could do anything. That was our motto, and that's what we did. And I pulled together a team of people in the company that we called the Mission Possible team, and we began working on building our ERP and keeping it healthy. A team of super users and end knowledge experts. Once you have a team name, start recruiting your members. Now, I know what's going to happen. Many of you are going to go out and you're going to find the department managers and you think you're going to build your team that way. If you're a department manager here today, I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I'm going to tell the team they're the wrong people to be on your team. You don't want department managers on your NAV and Business Central team. The reason you don't want them is twofold. One, they're managers. They are busy people. They're going to miss meetings. They're not going to have time for you. They've got a job to do already, and it's more important than being on your team. Two is they don't know the processes. They manage the team that does the processes. So you want people who are in the system. People are doing the work every day, who come in, punch the clock, get into NAV and Business Central, and start doing the work inside the system. Those are the people you're looking for and that you want involved on your team. As you start looking around the company and pay attention to what people are doing, look for those people who are willing to help. The ones who always have ideas about the system and have things to say about it. Who are looking things up online and showing other people, hey, did you know we could do this? Did you know that it does that? Those are the people you want to recruit. Bring them into your fold. Get them involved. They're already passionate about it. They already love it. And they're going to be great team members for you. Now you've got your team, it's time to create ownership. You want them to own their area. Someone in purchasing, you want to give them the free rein to be in charge of purchasing, learn the processes, come up with great ideas, be involved. My kids joke because when they would ask me to do things, I would always say, not today, if it wasn't something that I wanted them to do. I'd never say no. The reason I did that was because I never wanted them to feel crushed or their spirits to be broken or think that they shouldn't think outside the box. I always wanted them to feel they could continue on and keep thinking and dreaming big and coming up with things to do. And so it's the same thing you want for your team. Don't tell them no, don't crush their spirits. Put it on the parking lot, write it on the whiteboard, put it in the notebook, put it for phase 2. But never tell them no. Give them that ownership. Let them come up with their ideas. Encourage them and thank them for them and put them in that appropriate place. Motivate your team. Find ways to motivate them, keep them going. Maybe it's a cup of coffee. For me, Starbucks coffee goes a long way. So one little $5 card for Starbucks coffee because I did a good job and atta girl, I'm all in. You could give me a gold star and I'm happy, as you can see. Not a problem. Some people need to be a little more thoughtful. But again, just motivate the team. Come up with ways to do that. If you're going to DynamicsCon Live, that's a great place to get little trinkets for motivation. Pick up all that swag from all those vendors out there and those ISVs, put them in a drawer. And when somebody does something great, reach in and say, here's your surprise for doing something great today. and give them those opportunities to feel important and feel special. At Innovia, we have our Teams board and we have a wow page, and it's just literally that. It's for wows. Anybody in the company could go on the board and post a wow about somebody else in the company who did something great or nice or helpful for them. And so I encourage you to do something like that. Doesn't have to be big, but just encourage and motivate them and keep them moving forward and let them know that you care about their work and you appreciate what they're doing for you and the company. And then, of course, introduce your team. Introduce them big. Put it on a notebook. Put it out on the company newsletter. If you have a bulletin board in the building, put their pictures and their names and the name of the team up on a bulletin board. Make it a big deal. Make them important to the company. Let the others know that they're there to help them and work with them and help build a great ERP for your company. If you have a town hall, another great place to introduce them and bring them out. If you're going to name them something cool like Justice League, have them dress up like the Justice League and come on out and be introduced to the company. Once you have your team put together, the next step is process mapping. So what does that look like? Process mapping is making sure we understand all the processes we do in the company, all those steps, all those actions, all those functions that happen within our company. So the first thing you want to have your team do is start documenting their current business processes. I am a fan of sticky notes, so you might want to start with sticky notes. Just have them start putting them up. What do? I create a sales order. When I create the sales order, what do I do next? Well, then I do this, and then I do that. Build that process map. What does that look like? Work together. Have another department look at it with them. Go through those processes together and make sure that they line up with each other. If there are steps that happen based on what another department might do, you want to add those in there as well. So start walking through those steps individually and together as a team. Walk through them, make sure you've gotten everything. These aren't things that are just happening in your ERP today. They're anything you do in your business, because when you get together with your partner, you're going to find many of those things maybe you were doing on spreadsheets and outside of the ERP can really be done inside of it. And you've already done the legwork to give that to the partner and say, here's what we need to do. And they'll be able to help you build that right within your Business Central ERP. Talk to all the employees. Ensure you've gotten all the business processes. If you're in shipping and you're the lead on the shipping team, you know how to ship parcels, small packages, hands down, and you've got that process mapped out. But then when it comes to shipping LTLs or international, somebody else handles that. Don't assume that you can go ahead and do those processes for them. Spend some time talking to them, walking through the processes with those people who are doing those jobs, and make sure you've accurately documented what they do. It's going to pay off in the end. You want to make sure that everybody's involved, everyone's been heard. This is also part of your change management. When people realize that you care and you're listening to them and they've had input even this far back at the process mapping level, when you go to them and say it's time for user acceptance testing and we're ready to go live, they're way more ready to go change with you than if they had no part of it at all and all of a sudden we're flipping a switch and throwing them into a new system. So get them involved early. Make sure they know that they count. Make sure they know you're listening to them. Create a list of must-haves for each of these departments. So there will be things that, hey, this is it, I gotta have it. If we don't have this, it's a no-go, we're not doing it. So make sure you have those lists, that you have them ready for your partner that say, hey, here are the things purchasing absolutely must have. Here's the things accounts receivable absolutely must have. Here's what our receiving team absolutely must have. Make sure each person has been heard and the list is accurate to what is true and what those departments really need. This might be where you need to bring in the manager, because you'll have a long list of wishes, but which ones are really must have? And the managers of each department can help you narrow down that list and make sure what you have on it is an accurate list of must-haves for their department. Map out future business needs. The last thing is think outside the box. Think of tomorrow. Think of next year. Think of 5 years. What's coming down the path? Map out those needs and the things that your company is thinking about that you are going to want to do down the road. Get those on your process mapping, write them out, bring them to your partner. They may be part of the project, they may get set up during the project, and they may just be information they have for down the road that they can keep an eye on for you and be ready for when you're ready to go forward with them. This is your ERP, and this is where you need to think about it. It's Business Central. Could Microsoft have come up with a better name or what, right? There it is, right in the middle. Everything you do in your company comes in and out of Business Central. So think about every area of your company, your production, your financials, MRP, CRM, all these different areas. Do they need to be in systems or on spreadsheets outside of the ERP? Or are they things that can be inside of it? Maybe it's making a change to that. Maybe the system outside is really working well, but there's a way to connect it so we can get that information syncing back and forth. What we want to get to is your ERP is the central place for all of your information, and that it is the source of truth for everything in the company. Again, this is part of what the team's going to be doing, both for the implementation, and as I said, you want to keep them moving forward, living, breathing organism after you go live as your health and maintenance managers. Keep them working, continuous improvement opportunities down the road, even beyond the upgrade and the ERP. Keep in mind that we do have live chat going on, so anytime you have a question or a thought about any of the things we're talking about, something maybe you want to share, please feel free to type it into that chat box so we could talk about it at the end. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say too. The next thing we're going to do is talk about training the trainers. This is a really important piece of the puzzle. Each of these people you've asked to be on your team are great workers. They've got great ideas. They're excited. They're involved. They're doing the process mapping. They're getting it. They're understanding the logic and the nature of the system. They're becoming subject matter experts in their area. Now we're going to ask them to train people. That is easy to do. Not everybody starts out a natural trainer. So it's going to be yours and your partner's job to get them skilled and ready to go ahead and train their team that works with them. This is what it looks like. So at the top, it's going to be you. If you're the team lead, if you are on the C-suite, whatever your role might be in this project, at the top, project manager, you, your partner, Microsoft Learn, YouTube, all of those areas are all going to be our instructor trainers. It's your job to train your team underneath you. And so the instructors in the middle there, that's your team. Those are the people you've assembled, you've recruited to be on your team. And that team is going to go ahead and train our frontline workers down below, all of our end users. So we need to prepare them. We need to give them opportunities to make sure they know the system, that they understand the processes and how they work. They understand the tips and tricks that they can share with their team, how to personalize it, not just processes, but also how to move around and navigate the ERP to the best of their ability. We also want to train them on other things like change management. We want to make sure they're ready for change. They're going to face adversity. There's always going to be at least that one person who's just not going to do it. And you're going to drag them alongside of you, kicking and screaming all the way to go live and then beyond. So we want to have them ready for that, make them aware of what's going to come down the path, set up some workshops or webinars, things that they can see and watch and talk about, how they're going to handle change management. What does that look like? What happens when somebody doesn't want to get on board? How do I deal with them? Give them those opportunities. So we want to look for user adoption. How do we get people to adopt the system, to be involved, and make our team the change agent managers? Promote positive statements with them. One of the things that I've done with my team in the past was I came in before we got started on user training and teaching people how to use the system. I put slinkies on everybody's desk in the quiet of the morning, put little note cards with them, and some candies. And then they all came into work and they opened their note cards, and each note card said, be flexible and you won't get bent out of shape. And we use that as a mantra throughout. If we saw someone getting frustrated or stressed or having anxiety over a new process or learning the new system, we would just say, take a slinky break. Somebody might say, hey, be flexible. Time for a slinky break. And so it became a positive statement that we used to help us understand that, hey, we get it. You're getting stressed out. We're having some anxiety. It's okay. It's normal. Just take a little break and then come back and we'll have at it again. So come up with some of those positive statements, slogans, things that you can use with your team and around the company that will help people stay on task and stay focused and not get overwhelmed to the point where they just want to quit their job and not come back anymore. And last, be an evangelist. I'm sorry, I know we're Business Central now, but Business Central evangelist just doesn't sound the same. So I'm sticking with old school on this one, and we're going to stay evangelists. And so be an evangelist, get your team to be an evangelist, and be excited and promote enjoyment and happiness and get it going forward and how great the new system's going to be and helping get everybody on board. That's your job. That's their job. That's part of what we want to do is make sure that we're building a good, strong, healthy environment and we're helping everyone in the company get on board and make sure that they can be successful too, right alongside us. Now, once you've gone through all of that stuff, it's time to release the team. Send them out there. Let them explore. Let them test. I always used to tell them, you know what, get in there and try to break it. Whether they start out in the Cronus environment, the minute your partner has Cronus set up, you can get in there on that demo site and start playing and tinkering and trying things. Get them in there. Set them free. Let them come back with ideas. Talk about what they found. Talk about the tips and the tricks they've come up with and what they've seen in the system, what works, what they can't find. Let them get involved. Let them explore. This is all a part of that process, getting them into the system, getting them to know that system. As they're testing and learning and trying, and then when the sandbox is built out with your data and information in it, they move into there and they start looking and testing and trying things and putting things together and walking through processes the same way. They get through all of that stuff, then they're ready to start building out their user acceptance testing scripts. And that's something that's a really important part because at the end of it, the users are going to be successful. And that's what we want to know before we even get to go live. So all of these steps you're putting into place, all of this work your team's doing is all prep works to make your implementation much easier and much smoother for your company going forward. User acceptance testing is what we're going to talk about next. And what does success look like? What does user acceptance testing mean? Now, this is beyond our trainers. Our trainers have now done their job. They've learned everything, they've processed everything, they've practiced everything, and now they're ready to teach the rest of the team. And they walk through some training sessions, they teach their teams how to do their jobs, get into the system, and do what they need to do, and look around, and set up their screens, and personalize things, and filter, and slice, and dice everything. And they're ready now to do user acceptance testing. And when we're at that point, you are already prepared for the implementation. When the partner gets ready and says, okay, we're ready to start testing, you have done all the legwork and we're ready to just jump in and get going. This is the step that we are on. So the first thing is to keep in mind as they're working with their teams and training them is customize the training. Not everyone learns the same. I'm a visual learner. Just show it to me, let me go, and I can do it. Some people are paper. Give me the instructions. I'll read through them. I'll do it a few times. I'll have it. I have my paper here if I need it, and I'm good. Others are somewhere in between there. They need both. Some people are that, show me, let me do it, and then I'll teach someone else to do it. And then I've got it locked in. So customize those trainings. Make sure you have all the different elements to adapt to what each person needs so that they can be successful within the ERP and within their training. Plan lunch and learn sessions at the department level. So get people involved. Have a conference room training. Bring in pizza. Hey, today is purchasing day and we're going to meet up for lunch in the lunchroom. We're going to bring pizza in and pop for you guys, and we're going to sit down and we're going to do a training session on just purchasing. on just sales, on just the warehouse, whatever that might look like for your company. And then other times, maybe it's the whole group. Let's have a whole group lunch and learn, and let's sit down and learn how to personalize and do some filtering and bookmarking and some other things that everybody's going to need to know. So you may do some that are departmental, and you may do some that are full sessions with everybody. Evaluate the results. So make sure, again, those key performance markers. What are those metrics? What are those benchmarks? What are things that we say, yep, we hit the mark, we're successful. Yes, we're moving forward. Things are getting where they need to be so we can prepare for a go live down the road. And devise that comprehensive go live strategy. What does that look like? When is go, no go? Are we going to do a mock go live somewhere in before that? The most important thing with a go live strategy that I told my team was we don't go until everybody raises their hand and says, yes, I am ready to go. So make sure that you've made that commitment to your team and to the company. When every end user knows that you care about them and you're not going live until they are good to go and feel successful and comfortable in the ERP, it makes a world of difference on how they accept things and how they train and how the anxiety levels all go down, because now they're relaxed. They know you're not leaving without them, and they know you're not going to force them on the boat before they're ready. One of the things you're going to want to do with your team when it comes to user acceptance testing is set up these types of checklists. So this is a cash to order checklist. This goes beyond process mapping. Now we're talking about system-wide testing. So this is user acceptance testing. This is a test script. So this in particular test script we're talking about is order to cash. So when we go order to cash, we're going to talk through each of the areas. What happens from an order all the way till I get my money? So I start with a quote. I convert the quote to an order. The order to a confirmation back to the customer saying I got it. Then we release it to the warehouse. Then somebody picks it. Then someone packs it and ships it out. Then it goes back to accounting and gets invoiced. And then the customer sends me my money back. So those are the steps in order to cash. This is a test script. Then underneath each of those is, how do I get a quote? Well, some people call them in. Some people email them. We get some quotes by EDI. How many of those do you think we need to do in the new system so we can answer these three questions on the side over to your right? Did the system work as I expected it to? Was I able to do the task successfully? And am I comfortable with this process? When we can answer yes to all of those, then we check those boxes. If 5 isn't enough, then we do it again. If 3 people that do quotes got it and 1 didn't, then the 1 person does it again until they're comfortable. And then when everybody signs off that we're good with quotes, we check the top box and we can move on. Then we go to orders and confirmations and continue down the line. And as you can see, there's different things you have to think about. When I go to an order, what happens? I create it from a quote. Sometimes they just email me back and say they want to order stuff. Sometimes it comes from our CRM. Maybe we have a CRM and we quote there and we push the order over to our ERP. Some people order and they never even do a quote. So we want to do some orders that don't have a quote. Each area you need to think about, how does this happen? Are there different ways and different responses and different results? We want to address everyone. We want to make sure we're covering all the bases, that we know we can do everything in the system that we need to do on every step of every script that we write. The reverse of this would be order to payment. And that's where we start with our purchase order and we go all the way through the system, through receiving, and then paying our vendors. And again, you'll create script after script after script for everything that you guys do within your company. Your accounting department will have scripts very similar. They'll have scripts for month-end close, quarter close, year-end close, and they're going to want to test those out. So many times people go live and they get to the end of the year and they go, oh, we didn't think about year-end close. And now we got to scramble and figure out what to do. So again, thinking about all the different processes you do, coming up with those scripts, writing them out, having them ready, so that your team can be successful. Keep those 3 questions in front of everybody. Can you answer them? If you can, we can check the box and we're good to move on. If we can't, we need to go back and figure out why and fix things. Next is house cleaning, my favorite part, purge and merge. We spring house clean, and same thing with our ERP. We're getting ready to move forward into a new environment, so we want to make sure we're cleaning up that data before we move it over to the new house. So start with small, manageable chunks. How do we eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. How do we clean an ERP? 1 bite at a time. Prioritize the data sets. Look at your data. What's important to your company? What are the most valuable data information in the system? Put those at the top of the list. Let's get those done first. Maybe it's, hey, we know that our inventory is really bad. We need to clean that up. So maybe that becomes the priority. But look through the different data and prioritize for your company what makes sense to start with. What's the most important thing to make sure we've cleaned before we move into the new ERP? Then distribute across the teams. Don't try to take it on by yourself, and don't try to take it on with just your team. Get everybody involved. Different areas belong to different people. If you have 40,000 parts with different SKUs, one person or your team can't handle all of those. You need to divide it up. Figure out what works, what makes sense. Sales. You got contacts coming out your ears. They're all over the place. They're a mess. There's contacts that haven't been around for years, right? This is a great time to employ the sales team to filter down on their contacts, call their customers and say, hey, it's Holly. I'm calling because we are working on upgrading our ERP, and we're making sure we've got good contacts and data when we move over. I wanted to make sure I have everything right for your company before we make that move. You have a few minutes to talk about that. They'll be glad to help you. You'll get new contacts. You'll clean up the old contacts. And then if you're a really good salesperson, you can close with, thanks for your help. Is there anything I can do for you today? If you've gotten on the phone with them. So what are some best practices around cleaning? Things to look for. Spell checking. Make sure we're spelling things right. Make sure we have right punctuations. Make sure things are uniformed. Make sure we're using the right headers and closers and everything else that goes into it. Our addresses look proper. Clean up the spelling. Make sure things are looking better. Remove spaces. Get rid of all those extra spaces. Sometimes it's dash, 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 dot, 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 star, star, star. We don't need all that. And sometimes it really messes with the technology in the ERP and other systems when you're trying to sync things back and forth. So go in and clean all that stuff up. Get rid of all those extra diddles and daddles and do's. Create uniformity around dates and times. Also around phone numbers, around our customers. So phone numbers, don't know if you knew this, but if you put the phone number in the right sequence and then you put 2 commas and an extension number and you try to dial it with technology and not using your fingers, it will dial the phone number, leave enough of a pause because of the commas, and then dial the extension and you're in. Also works on Teams meetings. If you look at your Teams meeting, you'll see that exact format on every Teams meeting. Microsoft has it there. You can just hit that button when you're calling in from your phone, and it will log you in, and you won't be hunting for that ID number for the meeting. It's already there, and it will just go ahead and type it in. So great information there. Remove duplicate rows. Any duplicate rows, duplicate columns, all that extra just space and nonsense, get rid of it, clean it up, take care of it. Merge those columns and split cells. You might not want to merge customers and vendors if you have a lot to deal with, because at the end of the day, when you move to the new ERP, guess what? It's there, and you can merge everything really easy, and you'll be mad that you did all that work before you got there once you see what it does inside of the new system. So again, you might not want to merge customers and vendors because that's available to you in the system. But other than that, you do want to take care of that. Go in and purge all of those old purchase orders and sales orders that have just been stuck and laying around for years. Clean up some of the archives, the old change logs. Those are things that you could utilize and take care of and get Get cleaned up before you move over. The more data there is to move, the longer it takes to happen. And you know what that means. The bigger the bill for the partner. Tools to help. Last thing we're going to talk about today is just a few tools to help and how you can make some of these things happen nicely for your team. So some learning management tools, screen capture, video captures, dictation, and then there's ClickLearn, a great product out there that you can use to create documentation, PowerPoints, and also right within your Business Central ERP, step-by-step instructions with videos for your users to walk through each process that you're doing if you really want something robust. So check out ClickLearn, works with other things outside of your ERP, which is really great. You can use it in Excel, you can use it on web browsers, all over the place. So great product. But again, lots of free things available to you. You have Snippet or Snagit or something on your computer, print screens that can create captures of screens to put into your test scripts and your user training guides. Video capture, you can use Teams for video capture. Turn on Teams, start a meeting, record yourself, save it into your training files. Real easy way to do a quick video on how to create a sales order using Teams for video capture. Dictation, same thing. Right within, if you're on a Windows computer, you have Steps Recorder, fabulous tool. Just go in, turn it on. You can start walking through a process. It's recording your steps and making screen prints as you go. Really cool and free. So again, just some great tools to help you and your team going forward. And there's many more out there. You may be using some of them. If you've got some cool ones I didn't mention, definitely put them in that chat box so we could talk about them at the end. Some communication collaboration tools. There's tons of these out there. I'm going to stick with my go-to, my Microsoft Crew, and they've done it for us. And they've done it good. So Teams is the way to go. Get your teams going. In Teams, you create your team. You can have SharePoint right in there with your own files and folders connected to it. OneNote notebook for your team where you can store information and collaborate and have documentation. You can add a tab and a link to Business Central. You can add a link to Power BI. You can add a link to your sales CRM if you have it as well. So they've really pulled all of our products together into one place. So we have a collaborative tool to communicate and work together right within Teams. You can type in links to Business Central and Teams, and someone that's in there can click on it and go right to that page and see what you're talking about and take care of things and look at things for you too. So just some really great tools, and they just keep making them better as they go. So I really encourage you and challenge you to check out Teams and the collaboration tools from Microsoft. My key takeaways, the last thing I have to share is be the spark. Initiate the change. You and your team are the ones that will help make that ERP upgrade or implementation fabulous and make everyone in the company excited to be on board and be moving into the future. You'll be the change management agents in the company. You'll have everyone moving forward. You'll have the partners on board, and the process will be smooth and seamless. And again, like I said, don't just walk away after the project and say, attaboy. Keep that team together. Keep them working. Keep them moving on. They are going to be the health maintenance team going forward, the change managers, the continuous improvement team, as you continue to grow in your company and in your ERP. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me for today's session. Again, I'm Holly Kutil, your presenter for this session, and I really appreciate your coming alongside and joining me today. And again, thank you to the Dynamics community for inviting me to present. With that, let's jump into the Q&A time.